Hi, we're going to discuss about the cellular respiration and fermentation, and this subtopic we will discuss about the fermentation and its application. For the learning outcomes at the end of this lesson, you should be able to state the importance of fermentation in industry, for example in bakery, vinegar, beverages and alcohol production, also in dairy industry, for example cheese and yogurt, and local example, for example tempeh, thosai, tapai, soy sauce, budu and chinchalu. What is fermentation? Fermentation is a way of harvesting chemical energy without using oxygen, and in fermentation, glucose only goes through of glycolysis. In fermentation, only two pyruvate are formed and does not enter Krebs cycle or ETC. Thus, only 2 ATP are produced per molecule of glucose. The process begins with the glycolysis and ends with the conversion of pyruvate into ethanol or lactate. There are two types of fermentation. The first one is alcohol fermentation, which is occurring in plant and fungi. And the second one is lactic acid fermentation or lactate fermentation, which occur in animal and muscle cell. Both alcohol and lactic acid fermentation are highly inefficient because only 2 ATP are produced per glucose. For example, in alcohol fermentation, glucose is converted into 2 ethanol, 2 CO2 and only 2 ATP. While in lactic acid fermentation, glucose is converted to 2 lactate and 2 ATP. In alcohol fermentation, glucose undergo glycolysis and form 2 pyruvate and 2 ATP by substrate level phosphorylation. Then pyruvate undergo decarboxylation, which remove 2 carbon dioxide and form 2 acetaldehyde. Later, acetaldehyde undergo reduction forming 2 alcohol. While in lactic acid fermentation, glucose undergo glycolysis forming 2 pyruvate and 2 ATP by substrate level phosphorylation. Then later, pyruvate undergo reduction forming 2 lactate, meaning that here there is no production of CO2. There are several importance of fermentation in industry. For example, in bakery, wine or beer production, in dairy industry, and also local products. The first importance is bakery by using alcohol fermentation. Flour dough is made with yeast. Starch is hydrolyzed by zymes in yeast to maltose. Without the presence of oxygen, yeast undergo alcohol fermentation. And CO2 that produce will release and cause dough to rise and give the soft texture. Alcohol will evaporate during baking. There are several steps of making bread dough. First, you need granulated sugar, dry yeast, vegetable oil, salt and flour. First, you have to put granulated sugar and dry yeast together. Later, you have to add with the warm water and stir it and let it for 5 minutes. Later, you have to mix them with the remaining ingredient. You have to cover with the plastic wrap, allow the dough to rise, and later you can shape it. Second important is wine and alcohol production. During manufacture of beer, the enzyme diastase in malt convert the starch into maltose. The yeast is then added to the cereal mixture to allow fermentation. Enzyme maltase convert maltose to the glucose, and enzyme zymes convert glucose to ethanol and carbon dioxide. The third important is dairy industry, making cheese and yogurt. Yogurt making using lactic acid fermentation. Bacteria such as lactobacillus species act on milk sugar, and lactose produce lactic acid. Lactic acid gives the milk sour taste, and it's turned into the form of curd. Milk curd is rich in vitamin D and B. Cheese making also using lactic acid fermentation. Lactobacillus species bacteria convert milk sugar to lactate. Enzymes produced by bacteria play a large role in the eventually flavor of egg cheeses. Fermentation takes place in very long time, and lactate produced has low pH and give sharp taste. And the last importance of fermentation is producing local product. The first one is tapai, second is tempeh, the third one is thosai, fourth is budu, fifth is soy sauce, and the sixth is chenchalo. Tapai is referred to a traditional fermented rice or other starchy food including cassava. Tempeh is a soy product that is made from fermented soybean. Thosai is a thin pancake or crepe made from fermented butter, predominantly consists of lentil and rye. And budu is an handkerchief sauce and one of the best non-fermented seafood products in East Coast Malaysia. Soy sauce is made by fermentation of combination of soybean and wheat in water and salt. And the last one is chenchalo. Chenchalo is a food made from a type of small shrimp fermented with rice and salt. Thank you for watching my video. See you again. Bye.